That'll be good.
Richard, how are you?
I am fine today.
I hear your voice all the time when I
Oh,
do the programming for ParaX.
oh, good. I hope you like the shows.
I do. We need
We
more.
are coming in now.
Okay.
You'll have a great show.
Yep.
Darkness has descended upon the city, and the creatures of the night have begun to stir. This is the time when the veil between the realms of the living and the dead is the thinnest, and all that is not what it appears to be. Like a lone sentinel, one candle flickers in the night, revealing all that lurks in the darkness. This is Ghost Chronicles, Book of Shadows. Welcome to the nightmare.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ghost Chronicles, Book of Shadows. I am that lone candle flickering in the darkness, bringing Zone Van Helsing, Ron Kowick, and with me, that wicked witch from the west. Yes, it is Marla Brooks.
Mm-hmm. Scary, huh?
You are. I have nightmares about you.
Oh, yeah?
Mm,
Okay.
mm. Anyways, we have an exciting guest, someone you know pretty well, I guess, huh?
Well, yeah, everybody knows Richard Sennett, and the Haint Hunter. If
What?
you tell him that, Richard.
Oh,
Haint Hunter.
Hank. Yeah, Hank Hunter is a old English term. Haint is an old English term for ghost. And by the way, it's still used in the southern states as a ghost, a haint. And see, I wanted to go onto the internet, and Ghost Hunter was already taken, so I got something a little different. Haint Hunter.
That's pretty cool. You know, yeah, I was going through some of my old tapes of Ghost Village Radio. I did probably 20 years ago, and guess who one of my guests was? Was you, Richard?
I did a lot of shows back there.
Way
I
back
was,
then.
yeah, it was that my time to shine, if you will.
Mhm.
You're still shining.
Yeah, a little bit rusty, but still out there, still looking for ghosts, so still trying to find answers.
One thing I'm getting a little confused about, though, because I listen to your podcast, and so
Mhm.
it seems like you have mediumistic abilities. Is that what I'm getting?
I do believe everyone has a psychic side to themselves, and when things are just right, we all can have that psychic gift, which we now reserve only for special people. But we all have it. Being psychic is being alive. And yeah, I've had some really weird experiences, which I can't explain, and what keeps me out there looking for answers.
Mhm. So that's what drives you, and I know that when I never even believed in ghosts or anything else, and those experiences that I had, uh, got me into it to where I've been doing it full time for over 25 years, and is that what drives you? Because I'm pretty sure that's what drives me.
It drives me. You're absolutely right. I still have questions from the first time I saw a ghost back in 1978. It disappeared. It vanished in front of my eyes. But where did it go? It went somewhere, but I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm thinking, it's a theory, that
Mhm.
they have the ability to skip through time. So I was seeing this ghost on Thursday. It skipped into Friday. I can't follow him. And to my perception, he disappeared. Now, if he was looking at me, I would seem to disappear as
Mhm.
he would skip through different time zones. Anyway, that's my theory. I don't know what caused it, but I'm still out there trying to seek some answers. I've gotten a few, but not many, and I'm still trying to figure out what the nature of this thing, whatever it is, phenomenon, is all about.
Yeah, it's intriguing, because perhaps there are, the apparition, as we'll call it, because people see it. I mean, we that type of thing where you see where it's there, it's almost like a time slip. But there are other cases where the ghost has been seen over and over again in the same location. And one question that we batted about in the past is, do ghosts have a shelf life? For instance, there's a case where a ghost was seen as a lady in red, and soon she was turned to a lady in pink, and then she was a wisp, and then she was just sound. Do you think that ghosts dissipate after time?
Yeah, I do believe that's possible. I think that they have like a shelf life of about, oh, I don't know, 2 or 300 years. And
Mhm.
I've seen that in England. If you go through some of the cases there where ghosts appear as a solid apparition, like a very strong human form, then it becomes wispy, and then it becomes just a little ball, and then finally it's gone altogether. So it's like they sort of wear out, if you will, and go away, but we don't really know. But if they can't skip through time, maybe they can prolong their existence. We found in Rome people seeing ancient Roman ghosts, which are thousands of years old. Maybe they're able to skip 100 years at a time or something like that. Anyway, that's found in the folklore anyway, that ghosts can jump up to 100 years at a time, appearing, then being gone, then appearing again. Lots and lots of questions, but not a lot of answers. In fact, ghost hunting is a little like walking on jello. We, don't have a lot of firm answers out there, so it's intriguing. And I think when we get to the root of what it's all about, it's going to actually point to the very nature of reality itself.
Hmm. So I got to ask you before we get too far into the show, is that, how did you get involved in this from the beginning? I mean, wherever you started getting interested in it, was as a
Well,
child, was it later, or what?
well, my mother was very psychic, and she used to read cards, all that. But I thought, my mother's crazy, and I didn't give much thought to it. And then one night, I saw a ghost, and it was so disturbing in a lot of ways that it changed my whole life. I started to investigate, trying to see if I was crazy or not, or what they were, what's all about. And that's what really got me involved. In fact, you'll notice a lot of ghost hunters have that kind of experience. They, in fact, see, hear, or experience something so bizarre they can't explain it. And so that gets them started on the quest to try to find answers. I'm still on that quest. For me, it was where I was doing archaeology back at one of the old California missions. This was at San Antonio de Padua near King City in Northern California. And I was there with a team of archaeologists. We were digging, and I was in the laboratory late at night. Everywhere else had gone to bed. I was involved in a special project that got me interested. And it was about 12:30. I closed down the lab, turned off the lights, went off to actually, I was going to go to the um, kitchen to see if I could steal a cupcake or two. And while I was walking through the courtyard, I saw a monk with a candle. Now, that didn't scare me because it's a monastery. The monks live there. I thought,
Mhm.
oh, one of the brothers is up. I'll talk to him. Well, I walked up to him. I got about 10 feet, and bam, he disappeared. He just
Huh.
wasn't there. And he didn't fade out like you see in the movies. He was never transparent. He looked like a guy wearing a
Right.
monk's habit. And all of a sudden, I was there by myself. And my mouth dropped. I first looked around. I thought he fell in a hole or something. There was no hole. Uh, Then I realized that it was a ghost. That's when I lost my appetite and went back to my room, left the lights on, you know, and in my mind's eye, I can still see it as plain as I could back in July of 1978.
Oh, wow.
And that's what started me. And from that day on, I've been trying to find answers to what ghosts are, uh, what they might not be. And I've got lots of questions and very few answers.
That's intriguing to me because you said he had a candle. A ghost is, an apparition, but this is an object. So an object,
I know, and you would think
that's
that these.
fascinating.
Well, I talked to the monks who
Mhm.
lived there the next day, and they told me there was a monk named Brother Joseph. And everybody loved this guy. He was like a living saint. Everybody just felt he was the salt of the earth. And every night at 12:30, he'd light a candle and go from his room into the chapel and pray for an extra hour above and beyond the call of duty. And they would see him with his candle going to the chapel. Well, that's what I bumped into. And I didn't know that story, yet I got this impression. And I think the candle was there to let people know this was Brother Joseph. I think,
Okay. So that he, whatever this is, made the candle appear.
yeah, it was part of the whole apparition, reenacting the things he did in life.
Mhm.
And he was certainly not anyone to be afraid of or anything like that. And by all accounts from the other monks, he was a really wonderful man. And he just got old and passed away. He's
Mhm.
buried there at the mission, by the way. And it seems that many times the things that are material, garments, things they wear, hats, even cars or stuff like that, are all there to let us know who it is. It's like a signature almost.
I know because we have ghost planes, ghost cars, we have, ghost objects as well that appear and reappear. So that kind of makes sense in it. It's just intriguing that is it really a ghost or is it just a time slip where you're looking into another period of time?
It could very well be because he would do this as a ritual every night. And maybe that left some sort of trace behind, some psychic impression. And uh, all we're getting is that psychic impression, like a bit of videotape being replayed over and over again. So that might be the answer to many ghosts, especially like from the Civil War. Lots of people see soldiers and reenactments of battles. Maybe these are slips in time as opposed to haunting ghosts doomed to wander the earth for so many years, whatever
with
folklore.
the chains,
Yeah,
rattling chains. Yeah.
yeah, that goes back a long way. Ancient
At the
Rome.
young, plenty younger.
Hmm.
And but it's the other thing. I mean, we have so many misconceptions that people take as absolute truths. That ghosts are here because of unfinished business or because they died tragically. Well, most sightings of apparitions are just normal people doing normal things.
Yeah, there are rare cases, just as folklore says, of people who seem to be driven by some kind of desire. I've found a few cases of them, but they're a minority. The same is true with dead loved ones, mothers, fathers, stuff like that, that seem to come back to check on their children, their loved ones, something like that. This is these happen, but they're a minority, oddly enough. Most of them are just as you mentioned, people doing very mundane things, things they did in life, sweeping the floor, as in this case, this man walking
Walking up the stairs
stairs, yeah, or walking up the stairs.
or
That,
down.
that is another big riddle. Why are staircases so haunted?
that's
Hmm.
that's a good question.
Well, a lot of die. They trip and die,
Yeah,
fall down the
you jump
stairs.
back down that oxymoron again. That that's where they died. Not necessarily where they died. A lot of times we see this ghost, but they were never or apparition that they didn't die there. They had nothing to do with that particular place, but that's where they appear for some reason.
Well, I think it has to do with energy, but you are right, Marla. Back in the 19th century, these women wore these huge dresses,
Oh, I understand that. Yeah.
and many times they would take a misstep on the stairs or go tumbling down and lose their lives. But every case I've investigated where they have a haunted staircase, I was never able to find a death linked to it.
See. But I remember one case that we did. It was about this house in Lawrence, and
Mhm.
they would see this uh, apparition that would tend to look like it was walking up the ceiling.
Hmm.
And we did to the research on the house, it was that the place where the house was actually moved from uh, another town and that used to have a second floor. And when they moved it, they took the second floor off. So they believed the staircase was right there. That was in there. So it was just a replay of that particular instance.
I investigated a bank, a modern building, totally modern, light, everything you want, big windows in it and all. And they would see a ghost there, but she was walking about 2 feet off of the floor.
Ah,
And I later learned that on that very site was a farmhouse that was built high off the ground on pilings, so 2 feet off of the present cement slab of the bank.
mm,
So it could be a bleed over from that other building. Also, they would hear footsteps like hard shoes on a wooden floor, but they were just carpets of cement slab at the bank.
mm.
So this was a replay from the past, I think.
Yeah, that's the fascinating thing, don't you think, Richard? That because we just have these ideas that we throw about. We think we know what they are, and then we find cases that kind of go against that. So, I mean, we just don't know. I guess is the bottom line.
That's true. There's so many different answers out there, but we don't know what is the truth. Now, I think all of these might be valid. There could be some that are just slips in time. There could be actually, well, it's even possible, slips into the future. So when we see a ghost going through our house, we might be seeing someone who will live there 100 years in the future and not anything we know about or from the past. We don't know. Time itself is a mystery.
Is that's I was just thinking when you were saying that, Richard, that like we see a lot of these. Well, it's the internet, give it a, but we see these a lot of ones that people with time travelers in it. Are they really time travelers, or is it perhaps something like you talked about where uh someone from the future came not as a person but as a energy into the past, like a time slip.
As a historian myself, I would love to have a retrocognitive experience, look or actually travel back to the past. And there are stories about this. They're very rare, but they do exist. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're very fleeting, only a couple of minutes long. One story, a famous story about the two ladies in Versailles, the
Mhm.
great French palace, they were actually wandering into the 18th century for about 2 hours.
Yeah. There's, I have a friend in the UK, Dr. Ann Winsper, who is doing a lot of research on Liverpool because Liverpool is notorious for time slips. There's
Hmm.
several famous cases in there. And her and my co host from Ghost Chronicles International have experienced, what they believe was a time slip in themselves. So we call it a time slip because we don't have a name for it, but that's kind of what we call it. But we still, that's another thing that we just don't understand. Perhaps they are all integrated. Perhaps ghosts and time slips are perhaps one and the same in reality.
I
Well,
had a friend who went, sorry, she was, kind of uh, not thinking about something, and she was sitting in her house, and all of a sudden she looked over her shoulder, and she was seeing a hospital, like a Civil War hospital, right there. She's sitting there and she's watching it.
mhm.
And she scared the hell out of her because she didn't know what it was. And she said it was about 5 minutes. She was just staring there and staring. And then she blinked it and boop, it was gone. She thought she was crazy.
Well, was there a Civil War hospital where she saw it?
No, it was in her house. That was real. That was
Oh,
something. Yeah. So that's why she thought she went nuts. But she swore that this is what she saw. They were doing, uh, 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 doctors are doing their things
Yeah.
right there in front of her,
I
like surgery or something.
I have experiences I call awakened dreams, but they're basically I'm awake, but I can actually be somewhere else. It's usually another place, and I don't know if that's a out of body experience, but I'm still awake, so I'm not sure what it is. Or is it remote viewing or what? It's so intriguing because everything that we witness goes through our own bodies, our own minds, our own filters. So it's all filtered through us. So it's difficult to prove some of this stuff at all.
I get some of my best stories from Civil War reenactors. And I
Mm.
have a friend who's a paramedic, and he has a group that reenact a Civil War hospital. This reminds me of that from what you said, Marla. And he was at a battlefield, and one of the old buildings there was used as a hospital. And it was really cold, and they said that he couldn't go into the historic building until sunup. There was a historic site. They had permission to do that, but only during certain hours. Well, it got really cold, so some of them said, "This is ridiculous. Let's go inside. We have a building right here." So they went inside, started a fire in the fireplace. They were nice and warm, sleeping. About an hour later, he woke up and he noticed people all around him, busy. His people were asleep. These were dressed as Civil War doctors performing amputations and
Yeah.
other things. But he noticed each of the people were above the floor about 7 inches. They were walking around in the air. And later on, this vanished, and he learned that the modern building that's there is a reconstruction, and the original had a higher floor. So he had literally seen something again from the past. Again, a time slip. But why does this happen? I don't know. But I do get a lot of great stories out of reenactors.
Yeah, I would imagine that's a great pool of information for you. So what is your personal experience that is really makes you still scratch your head nowadays?
Oh, I was thinking about that. I do a podcast and I was thinking, what is my best case? Every great ghost hunter has what they call a best case, the
Mhm.
thing that really sets them apart. And I've had so many over the years, but one of them was at a house in a nearby city. I won't mention which one it was, and it had all sorts of different things happen in the house, and it almost killed me, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
Yeah, I went through a trap door. Have you ever gone through a trap door?
no.
It's a really unique experience, I can tell you.
Jeez.
I was told this is a big Victorian house, and the house had been used for a dozen different purposes, and one of the purposes was as a mortuary.
Oh,
And they used to prepare the bodies for showing in the basement. So the couple that lived there was plagued with all sorts of ghostly happenings. They said, "Well, you've got to go into the basement." So how do I get there? They said, "Go to the kitchen." They didn't tell me it was a trap door. So I walked into the kitchen looking around for some little door that with steps going down. And there wasn't any. And then I didn't realize it, but I was standing on the trap
oh,
door,
oh.
which gave way. And as soon as it fell through, I bent over, and the side of the trap door hit my ribs, broke several ribs,
Oh,
Mm.
the wind out of me. I stood straight up because of that, and I went the rest of the way 9 feet into the basement. And there was all this trash and debris down there. And there was even a big post with a sharp point. I could have been impaled on that thing.
oh,
Mm.
But that house had the most phenomenon that I've ever encountered. I got some of the best EVP there. I had learned that everything started where the lady decided that lived there decided to have her baby at home with a small team rather than go to the hospital. And after that, all hell broke loose. They would see a ghostly woman. We did some more research and found that that had been used as a home for unwed mothers in the 1920s. And they would have their baby there, and of course, it would be taken for adoption or whatever they wanted to do with the child. And that event seemed to trigger everything. And we had amazing things happen. We saw apparitions, but I got the best EVP during a seance we conducted there. We actually got these crying children. There was no
oh.
crying children around. There was nothing, no cats, though. There was no children at all in the place. No one heard this until we played it back, and it was the most haunting thing I had ever heard.
Mm. So what did you do when I mean, you broke your ribs? That was the end of the investigation.
Yes.
I assume you went to the hospital.
No, I didn't. No,
What?
as a matter of fact, the people who lived there, and by the way, there was a Navy diver and his wife, and their children lived in the house. The Navy guy got me 2 beers, which I drank, and they let me go home. And my wife was really angry because I
I
was
would bet.
late. And I pulled off my shirt and I was black and blue.
Oh,
Oh,
And she said, "You want to go to the hospital?" I said, "No, just wrap me up." It was
oh.
cool. I could have actually died or something. But that was one of our best cases that we ever worked on. And as I
You're right.
said,
It almost killed you.
yeah, it almost killed me. I wonder if the ghost did that on purpose.
Who knows?
But so anyway, it was that was my best case. As I say, ghost hunting can be dangerous.
yeah, we did a whole yeah podcast on my show that watch where you're going and how, or don't look
Really?
the other way kind of thing. Yeah, I
Oh,
remember that was a long time with you.
you did that with me?
No,
Oh,
Richard.
with Richard. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
we did it. I did a show just on that while my podcast is the dangers of ghost hunting. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things to watch out for, including hantavirus. That's the droppings from mice.
Mice. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and you can inhale that and get this deadly disease. It'll kill you.
Yeah.
And so that's one of many things that you can get. Besides that, I always fear the living more than the dead.
Me too. But we have to take a break right now, Richard. So if you can hang on, we'll take a short break. You can catch your breath, and we'll be back. So you're listening to Ghost Chronicles, Book of Shadows, right here on TogiNet and Pararex Radio. I am Ron Kolick. My co-host is the lovely Marla Brooks, and our special guest tonight is Haint Hunter Richard Sennett. We'll be right back after the following messages right here on TojiNet Radio and PowerX, and where all good podcasts go to die.
Do you have a paranormal event, book, or something else you want people to know about? Then why not advertise it on Ghost Chronicles Radio? With over 150,000 downloads a month, get your message out to an audience that's interested in the subject. We have a plan at a cost that fits your needs. For more information, contact Ron Kolick at anyghostproject@comcast.net or call 978-455-6678.
Shadow on the wall that looks like a man. Lord, that lamp just moved on that stand. I got movement in the cellars, I got footsteps in the hall. There's no time to waste, I better make some calls. I gotta get ready, make everything right, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. This is Brother Mine. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. This old house has a long history. It should be real, real good for activity. And we got the house wired for sound and got motion alarms setting all around. Got a box full of batteries ready to go, and everyone's itching to start this show. Got our logo tees, driving black SUVs, and that one bald guy with a slick goatee. Hey, round up the team. Let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mine. Well, there's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team. Let's get started. Hey, this is your big brother Mike calling. Well, there's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. That's right. Go get them, boys!
Oh, are you reading me? Come in. Hello? Greetings from the Shadow, and welcome to Shadowzine. My name is Jeff Belanger. I'm an author, podcaster, and explorer of the unexplained. For 30 years, I've been investigating the paranormal, UFOs, monsters, and things that bump in the night. Lately, you may have noticed how major TV networks and even social media networks have been pushing our favorite subject back into the shadows. I say good. That's why I launched Shadowzine, a monthly underground publication that covers your favorite topics in depth by some of the leading writers and researchers out there. If you're looking for 30-second TikTok clips, go somewhere else. If you're ready for a deeper dive, put down your phone and pick up Shadowzine. You can't find it in stores. This is old school print. Head to shadowzine.com and be part of the underground revolution. That's shadowzine.com, and I'll see you in the shadow.
and welcome back. Here's Ron Koenig. Okay. Um,
Changed my name, did you? Huh?
yeah. Well,
It's good.
you never. I'm Marla Brooks. I know me. And
That's
our
a good thing.
guest is Richard Sennett.
Good.
And we're talking ghost.
Welcome, Richard.
Oh, glad to be here and talk about my favorite subject, ghosts.
So, do you find like your opinions have changed over the years since you first started doing this to where you are today?
Yes, very much. When I first started, I thought there had to be an interesting, simple answer for what ghosts are. And for a long time, I got into the theory that there were leftover emotional traces. But then after a while, that just didn't seem to work. And I keep trying to find an answer to what these are. And so far, it's eluded me, so I have changed my opinions. In fact, when I first started, I thought that it was all harmless stuff, kind of akin to folklore. But as I got into it, after about 9 years, I bumped into something quite evil. I didn't believe there was anything evil out there. Well, I had to change my mind very abruptly. And I now think, yeah, there are evil things out there. Fortunately, they're very, very rare, but they do exist. One must be wary of them.
Hmm.
That's people are afraid of ghosts because they get a bad name.
hmm And some of them deserve the bad name. Some of them are almost, well, demonic, if you will, deliberately try to harm or frighten or do things that would be, well, demonic. So there are evil things out there. It's just that fortunately they're rare. I think a lot of the ghost hunters on the TV shows, I don't think they've really ran across anything quite evil yet. And I don't know how they would handle encountering something like that.
Yeah, it's yeah. So you've run across them yourself then?
Yes, I didn't believe it till I had that happen.
Yeah.
And this is a house in Santa Barbara, a modern home too. You wouldn't think anything would be negative there. No Victorian on the hill. It was occupied, big windows, beautifully pointed, all sorts of beautiful stuff in it. But there was something dark and evil in that house. I later learned it was built on top of a cemetery. If that's any uh, reason for it to be haunted, I don't know. But there was one room where everything bad happened. They put a bird in a cage there, a parrot, it died. The cat they had refused to go in there and finally ran away. Everything, people just couldn't sleep in that room. They'd get nightmares and things like that, and they would see these dark shadow form in the room. And I saw it, and I felt a tingle down my back. I just knew it wanted to harm me if it could. So there are definitely evil things out there. You've got to be very careful.
And some
Right.
people think, um, as in li- li- uh, as in life, people are good and people are bad.
hmm
And so, some of these guys, they're not going to do too much for you, to scare you or have fun with you. But you just never know what people say. Okay, they're all demons. There's no such thing as ghosts. They're all demons.
hmm
And it's, could be somebody that's just pissed off, he's mad that he's dead or something.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said for that. I believe that a lot of people are just not good people. And when they die, whatever remains of them, the emotional trace, ghost, what have you, they're not going to change and be good all of a sudden. They're still
Yeah.
just as bad as they were when they were alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that might be the account for some of the things that we've gotten. But no, there are bad things out there. And that's why I tell people don't toy with the negative. Don't get involved
Yeah.
with the evil, or demons, things like that. I do not truck with anything like that.
Do you believe in like some type of protection at all? I mean, some
Oh,
people, yeah.
yes, very much. And a lot of it has to do with your own belief system. Now, if you're a Hindu, maybe having a statue of Rama would help you. If you're a Catholic, maybe Saint Michael. But it has to do with what you believe in. And if you have that protection, which by the way I do, I have some holy water and a bunch of other things that I've collected over the years. It seems that silver is very important for some unknown reason. And I do have items made of silver that I take with me sometimes when there's something negative out there. But it's amulets, stuff like that, have always been reported throughout history as being important in ghost hunting.
Marla, what about you? I mean, you're a witch, so you got some magic mojo for protection for ghost hunting?
Yeah, got the penchant. Yeah.
Pendulum?
Yep. I wear it, and it's funny because it jumps out of my blouse because you don't want people to see it.
Mhm.
People get scared, and it isn't a bad thing at all. But every so often I keep looking down and I didn't take it out, but it comes out on itself. I know it sounds stupid, but it
Not that
scratched
stupid.
my head. But yeah, the pentagram is what mine is, and when you believe it, it works.
Is there any spells that you can use?
What before to go ghost hunting or
Yeah,
something?
for protection of a, location or yourself or your vehicle or anything.
Well, I kind of talk to my spirit guide or
Mhm.
whoever it is, but yeah, it's a little prayer and just, make sure you're getting in doing it for the right reasons, because some people just go, oh, look, let's go ghost hunting and it's stupid. Sometimes I wish the ghost would smack them in the side of the head, those kind of guys.
Yeah, I remember I got a call one time. There was some young ghost hunting group that just started. This is way back. And they were doing some case, and uh, the the house people had reported in the house that these terrible things were going on, and they went in there and they thought they knew what they were doing. They had to grab the crucifix or something, and they used the crucifix, and it actually burnt their hands. So they left a burn mark in their hand where the crucifix was. So then
Mm.
they
That'll teach them.
then they called me up. It's like, oh, can you help us? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you made a mess, and
yeah, I
clean.
know. People go do that for the very wrong reason.
Mhm. And we're gonna be speaking about that, next week, you and I are gonna have, the occult hunter on the show, who's gonna discuss a lot of this stuff about, ghost hunting and, saging houses and so forth, so that'll be interesting as well. Sorry, Richard, we got a little digressed there.
Oh, no, no, that's quite all right. My sister's a witch,
Yeah.
so I know all about the pentagram and all, and I use a prayer to Saint Michael
Yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah, we do that
prepare
too.
myself
Yeah.
for an encounter. But I haven't had many, but I have had a few, and so I know they exist, and I have to admit, they really scared the crap out of me.
Mhm.
I had that happen. It was something I originally wasn't prepared for, but I've gone through one house I remember where this ghost had supposedly killed someone, and I was just me and my flashlight, nobody else in the place,
Me and my flashlight.
Me
and
and my shadow play. Yeah.
I had the light on, and this thing appeared in front of me and started coming towards me. And then the dang flashlight started to get real dim as it drained the batteries.
Oh, lovely.
Here I am. Now what do I do? Should I run? Should I not? I didn't run, but it finally withdrew. But it was certainly a night to remember.
That's a genuine run, dude moment.
Oh God.
I've had those. I'll have to admit, I've done Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Gone. Sometimes I can't help people. Sometimes all I can do is tell them, "Why don't you just move?"
Yeah.
And, and that's all you can do.
Yeah. It's kind of sad in a way.
Well, sometimes I I don't run away,
Hmm.
but sometimes I walk a little faster.
I know
Yeah.
that feeling. I know the feeling.
And you're looking like la la la, I'm okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to go along on a couple of exorcisms with the Catholic Church as an observer,
Mm,
and they were quite interesting. And I actually worked on one case with a Franciscan monk that was had very religious aspects of it that was intriguing as well. So there's all different things out there that that you might run into or things. So yeah, you're right. There are dangers out there. People don't think about it, but yeah, there are.
mhm.
I've gotten some of my best information from Catholic priests and monks who, oddly enough, are really well conversed in the subject of the ghosts and the supernatural.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And then some of them are like, yeah, you don't have anything to do with it, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's weird though. I mean, yeah, the Catholic Church has been dealing with this stuff for thousands of years, actually, 2,000 years. So uh, they have acquired quite a bit of knowledge on it. I would guess is a good way of saying it.
Mhm.
But all right, so Richard, what's the most unusual place you investigated?
Oh, I've investigated so many of them over the years. But if I could go to a place that was specifically haunted and well known as haunted, I would have to say the Queen Mary
Ah,
in Long Beach, California. I was there back in the 80s when it first opened
Mhm.
with some of the earliest investigations, and there were lots of stuff going on. And there
Yeah.
still is, from what I've been told. I've had a number of experiences there that got me to believe the ship really is haunted. But beginning to think that all ships that are old like that are carry some kind of residual energy. I know a lot of the World War II ships that are now used as museums are also haunted. But the Queen Mary was one of them. Another one that lived up to its expectations was the Whaley House in San Diego.
oh yeah,
Mm,
I heard that podcast. That was a pretty cool one.
That really was and is a very haunted location. They've even had people try to get rid of the ghost, exorcise them, but they all seem to come back. We've had
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff happen there. And of course, I did a study of the Olivas Adobe, a large hacienda
Yeah.
in Ventura. I wrote a book about it. And lots of people have seen ghosts there, including myself, and gotten pictures, gotten images, heard sounds, singing, music, all kinds of different stuff has been reported in that 150-year-old Adobe home.
Wow.
So it's that's I've gotten a lot of different things over the years.
Hmm. It's funny you mentioned the Queen Mary because just a couple of weeks ago I had Nicole Strickland on, who wrote a couple books on the Queen Mary as well, and she mentioned you.
Oh, well, I we did a séance there, the best séance I ever did, and I've gone to about 75 of them. But this one, my wife's a medium.
Hmm.
I know my wife does not speak Italian. She speaks Russian. That's true. She speaks Swedish because her family's from Sweden, and but she does not speak any Romance language. She's all at sea when it comes to Spanish. And all. She started to speak Italian, and in the middle of the seance. Finally, we got her to sort of calm down, and then it turned into broken English, and she told the story of an Italian pilot from World War II, Carlos Giovetti, and how he had been shot down, carried on the Queen Mary as a POW, and died in transit to Australia, where they sent a lot of the early POWs that they had gotten. And he talked about his airplane, all the details, even his last mission that he flew on. And it's really kind of amazing. He was talking about, he was also a diehard believer of Mussolini. He thought Mussolini could do no wrong. He was a big fascist. By the way, he hated English people, who I guess were the enemy. And what was amazing was that he gave a lot of details. I was unable to research it, but I gave the material to an English reporter who went to the Imperial War Museum in London and found every detail that Carlos talked about was accurate.
Oh, wow. That's pretty
He
cool.
got
Wow.
the mission, even the name of his commanding officer. All of the stuff was in the seance. So that was the most information we ever got. And he wrote a story about it that went worldwide. And it actually was featured in a magazine in South Africa called Bunny Girl. Had pictures of naked ladies
Yeah.
real stories, and they bought his story. And so I always taunt my wife, telling her she appeared in Bunny Girl. And there was a picture of her, but it was accurate. And after that story hit, all these people came forward, like from Naples, his family members who did that. Oh, by the way, a lot of Italians don't like English people, I discovered. And it was an interesting case, but I always wondered, why did he pick my wife, Debbie? And then I realized a lot of what he talked about was his airplane, which was a Falco Fiat biplane, actually. And I didn't realize it, but my wife is also a pilot.
Oh,
And I think that's what did it. He
yeah.
wanted to
Makes sense.
talk about his airplane. By the way, he really loved it, even though it was out of date and the British shut it down pretty easily.
Yeah.
But he wanted to just tell about his story of what happened to him on that terrible voyage from Egypt all the way to Australia in the middle of the Indian Ocean. There were hundreds of people died. The heat was, it's not, there's no air conditioning on the Queen Mary. And all these people stuffed below decks in 105-degree temperature, many wounded, and they died. And they were like sharks following the ship as they threw them overboard.
Oh,
Mm,
One after another. It was a voyage from hell.
I guess
wow.
it was.
And
Yeah, I had the good opportunity to actually investigate B-17, which was kind of fun. So that was a good investigation.
Mm.
But Richard, if people want to find out more about you and your books and stuff, how can they do that?
Well, I'm on Amazon.com. I have a web page there. Richard said it. And I have all of my books there, including my most recent one that you can check out and get into. I had a lot of fun writing that. It's about how to communicate with the dead in a lot of ways. It's called California Landmarks and How to Enjoy Them. And what I did was take different places that are open to the public and how you can use various ways to attempt to communicate with the whatever is there, and try to figure out ways to enjoy these historic landmarks. You see, I believe that you don't need to spend a lot of money. A lot of ghost hunting equipment can be very expensive, and it's beyond the reach of many who want to do investigations. But
And a lot of it's questionable, quite frankly.
that's true too. A lot of it is designed for another purpose.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
also, I think there's a podcast.
I was just going to mention that. You can listen,
Yes.
you can listen to Richard every Saturday night at 8 o'clock on Pararex Radio, and that's a new one every week. So check that out.
What's it called? I like it.
It's called I Walk with Ghosts.
I love it.
Yeah, and that was I ripped the title off of an old movie called I Walk with Zombies, but I changed it. But
Oh, that's a good idea.
it's a good little catchy thing. But I do walk with ghosts. I think we all do, because ghosts are
Yes.
all around us.
I
Yeah.
believe that.
So on Saturday night, 8 o'clock on Pararex, you can pararex.com is
And all the library, talk about the library where people can find it.
Yeah, they have all my past shows are listed there, and they include my best cases, dangers of ghost hunting, some of the weirdest things I've ever encountered, and some of the wonderful people I've met in my travels.
Yeah.
Living or not.
Yeah. But
Well, both ways.
there's also one on cats and dogs, which is interesting too. So check
Mhm.
that out. All right, we do have to go, unfortunately. So, Richard, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. It was interesting as always.
Well, thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes, it always is.
Yeah, he always has a million stories. So, anyways, you've been listening to Ghost Chronicles Book of Shadows right here on TogiNet and Pararex Radio, and where all good podcasts go to die. We're brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts, the Glant Messier Family Law Group, 50 High Street, North Andover, Massachusetts. Our very good friends on Ghost Chronicles Radio on Patreon, and Positively Brilliant Reiki Infused Candles on Etsy. So check those out as well. So thank you, Richard. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Good night. Stay safe.
Good night.
Good night.
From ghoulies to ghosties, long-leggedy beasties, and things that go bump in the night. Deliver us